During the Los Angeles Lakers matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder, superstar guard Luka Doncic exited the game with what appeared to be a left hamstring injury in that third quarter. In this video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what the mechanism of injury, the anatomy of the hamstring, the grades of hamstring strains, and how severe this injury can be for Luka Doncic due to his history with hamstring issues. So let's break down exactly when the injury did happen. Based off the play, Luka's driving towards the basket and attempting to create some separation for a shot when suddenly he pulled up and grabbed that left hamstring seen right here. So this type of injury typically occurs during rapid deceleration or explosive acceleration, both of which heavily loads are placed on the hamstring. So if we pause the video right here, we're going to get a good idea of how this injury really did happen. We see that the left foot is planted on the ground and is way in front of his body. There's momentum forcing him forward here, which is placing a ton of weight and a ton of force through that left lower extremity. So we take a look at that left lower extremity, we see that that hip is in a flexed position, while also the knee is in a slightly flexed position as well into more extension. This puts his hamstring muscle here on that left lower extremity in an excessively stretched position, as well with that trunk flex forward, this all of which is requiring that hamstring in that left lower extremity to really stabilize that knee, seen right here, as well as absorbing the force at the hip seen up here. During this specific moment, the hamstring is essentially contracting and they are trying to slow down that knee extension as well as the hip flexion. And with all muscle injuries, if force exceeds the muscle's capacity, the microscopic tearing occurs. So we take a look at our anatomical model here. We have the hamstring muscle group. These consist of three primary muscles. We have our semimembranosus seen right here, our semitendinosus seen here, as well as our bicep femoris seen here more laterally. Due to the fact that where Luka is grabbing immediately after the injury, a little bit more laterally on that left hamstring, it makes you suspect that it might be this bicep femoris that's the main culprit. The main action for these muscles include hip extension, which is driving that leg backwards, as well as knee flexion, which is bending that knee seen here. Hamstring injuries are particularly concerning because they have a real high recurrence rate in professional athletes. Reports indicate that. So with Luka Doncic, he dealt with a similar hamstring injury earlier this season with that same one, that left side. This obviously increased that risk for re-injury, which he just unfortunately sustained against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And unfortunately for Luka, when he did suffer this first hamstring injury, he was kind of grabbing hold that lateral side of the hamstring, that same thing he was grabbing when he did injure in the Oklahoma City game. Specifically, we're looking at that bicep femoris seen here, and more even specifically, we're looking at that myotendinous junction seen right here, where those muscle fibers turn into the tendon. So post-injury, the tissue becomes less tolerable and stiffer, which is a primary reason for why such a high recurrence rate for hamstring injuries. Once a hamstring has been strained, the risk of reoccurrence rises because of that scar tissue formation, the residual weakness, altered biomechanics, as well as incomplete rehabilitation. This is why teams often take very cautious return to play approach, even for a mild hamstring strain. So with all type of muscle injuries, there are grades for each of these strains. There are 3 grades based on severity. However, with re-aggravation, this can potentially increase the typical recovery timeline for athletes. There's a grade 1, which is a mild strain. This is more small microscopic tearing of muscle fibers. This can typically take maybe now 2 to 4 weeks. Now grade 2, there's a moderate tear, more partial tearing of those muscle fibers, and this can potentially take 3 to 6 weeks for full recovery. And then we have a grade 3 complete tear, which I don't believe is exactly what happened, but there is a full rupture of that muscle or tendon, and typically that will take about 3 to 6 months. For Luka, it's most common that it probably was either a grade 1 or grade 2, but even with a mild hamstring injury can linger due to the high demands of basketball, especially re-injury. So at this moment, the exact severity of Doncic's injury is very unknown pending MRI results. Some positive signs, though, include that he was able to walk off the court off his own willpower, as well as there's no visible immediate swelling or deformity. Obviously, some very concerning signs, though, is immediate grabbing of that hamstring, especially the same one he did injure a few months prior. So hamstring injuries are notoriously tricky in basketball because the sports demands such constant acceleration, deceleration, and explosive movements. For Luka Doncic, the MRI results will ultimately determine the timeline, but even a mild strain could impact the Lakers' playoff push, especially given how central he is to their offense. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned a little bit about Luka Doncic's injury and how severe it really is. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below, and thank you so much for watching.